Are you ready to see some real homes? That's right. Today we're skipping all those Pinterest perfect rooms and exploring alternatives for real spaces with real challenges and peculiarities. A few months ago, I asked you to send me your home decor challenges so I could give my somewhat professional opinion. So this is another episode of What Would Maria Do? You guys seem to really have liked the previous episodes of this series, and I personally love to work on these kinds of videos. So here's another one. Today I selected 3 peculiar spaces, and they're about to be transformed. So let's get straight into the first one. This is Yas' main living space. As a young married couple, they have just moved into this home with a very peculiar living floor plan. They're currently using the largest part of the space as a TV room, but are having trouble visualizing what to do with this narrow space that's right next to it. They have many items they'd love to display, but would really appreciate more storage options as well. They thought about making it like a cozy home library or a storage space, but could not decide. Alright, so here are my thoughts. Before we discuss what to do with this narrow space, let's first take a look at the current layout. Because I cannot help myself. I will always consider multiple layout options before actually moving forward with one idea. So spaces like this are usually challenging to work with. With such a diagonal line like cropping the space, what the heck are we supposed to do with a regular shaped couch? Where do we put the TV? So since there's a window on this wall, there's really just one spot suitable for the TV, which is this other wall here. As for the sofa, there's the option to place it right in front of the TV and ignore the weird wall angle, just like they seem to have done here. But then we're left with a narrow space between the wall and the sofa. And this gap that's left behind is virtually lost space. Now, leaving a gap behind the sofa can be a great alternative to add dimension to larger living rooms. But in such a small space, I just don't think this is the best option. So I would actually place the sofa like this, following the angle of the wall, and making sure that there's a gap between it and the wall, since there's a heater beneath the window. And because this is a small room, even the side of the sofa that's further away from the TV, it's still pretty close. And now we have space to add one extra chair, so you can host friends more comfortably. I see that you have a rectangular coffee table here and a square side table in the space as well. So in awkward shaped spaces like this, I actually think that round furniture is the best option, simply because they allow for better circulation. It simply fits better, doesn't it? So I would also replace those for round ones. But what's missing here? That's right, a rug. Rugs are a must-have item for living rooms. Now, this is what happens when we try to fit a rectangular rug in this layout. If we align it with the sofa, the TV console looks out of place. Then if we align it with the TV, now the sofa looks out of place. So how do we solve this? By getting a round rug. Round rugs are a great alternative for really small rooms or weirdly shaped ones, as they both define the area in question and also give this fluidity, this better integration with the rest of the space. So this is how I would lay out the living room. Oh, and the Kallax unit can stay here. I actually think that it works well in this corner. And I will also keep the arc lamp. I just love those. Alright, Maria, but they asked for help with the narrow part of the living room. What about that? Yes, let's talk about it. Now, when they mentioned a cozy reading nook plus storage, I immediately thought of the Beely bookcases from IKEA. With so many options to choose from in terms of sizes, doors, shelves configurations, I think it would be a fantastic choice for this space and offer solutions for storage and for displaying items. Okay, so now I need to see if I could fit a few bookcases in this space, how many, and where we should put them. So let's check the dimensions on the IKEA website. Alright, 80 centimeters wide and 28 centimeters deep. But there's also the narrow version, which is 40 centimeters wide. So let's try a combination of those here. I love that they are like less than 30 centimeters deep, which is like perfect for a narrow space like this. And we can do a corner unit like this to achieve that built-in look. And here's how this piece would look like in 3D. I chose closed storage for the larger portion of the wall and open shelves for this other one, so there will be plenty of room to store items away and also to display some decor pieces and books, which is great. Alright, so now in order for the space to actually become a cozy reading nook, we need a cozy chair. So let's add one right here. And I will also place a small side table here, because we all know good books go well with a good cup of coffee or a glass of wine. And we need a surface to place it while we're reading, right? Finally, I would also add a rug here to make this space super cozy and inviting. Alright, now that we have the layout defined, let's talk about looks. So let's start by adding the bookcases. Now for the rug, I'm going for this one, which has this cool gradient effect mixing tones of yellow and green. I just think it looks so good. As for the chair, you know how much I love red accents. So of course, I chose a red chair for the space. And I think it goes so well with the rug. And the side table will be this tiny one in black. So this wall here, beside the window, it's missing something, right? So let's make it a vignette. Let's add an interesting wall art and make it more important by mounting a picture light above it. And you can find battery-powered ones on Amazon that don't even require high wiring. Okay, this is already looking super good to me. Still, I think we're missing a few details. I am a true believer that window coverings make a huge difference in a space. And I would normally hang curtains, because they're like my favorite option of window treatment. But since we have the heater here beneath the window, I think that Roman shades are a safer alternative and they also look amazing. Next, let's replace the old white pendant for a more interesting flush mount ceiling light. Oh my god, I'm always amazed by how much of a difference lighting fixtures make in the space. Honestly, this room makes me happy now. And I would be satisfied if we just stopped right here. But let me throw in just one extra idea. Let's further define this space and make it cozier by painting the ceiling. Done. I know it was empty before, but here's how it looked before. And here's the after. The perfect combination of a chill reading nook and a storage solution. Moving on. This is Janet's entryway. They live alone and need help in making the most out of this tiny entryway. There's a challenge of hiding the pipes in this corner while still keeping the space usable. Also, since the only storage solution in this space is this Kallax unit, which is also used as a bench, all their shoes are kept in another room, but it would be nice to have them stored here as well. Okay, so when I first saw this space, I have to admit, I was a bit scared of it, meaning I felt challenged, you know? Like, the alternatives weren't obvious for me right from the start. When that happens, drawing the floor plan and visualizing the layout options really helps in getting the ideas flowing. So as she sent me the dimensions, here's how it looks. Oh my god, so many doors. Okay, so I imagine that this is the entrance of the apartment. So this entryway is basically segmented into a hallway and a tiny room, right? But one of the first things that I noticed is that this part of the space was not actually being used. It had no actual functionality. And I do believe that it could be better utilized. So first thought, can I fit a chair in here to replace the bench in the other room? Let's see. Okay, so a regular sized chair looks somewhat like this. So as you can see, it could fit in here, but it will probably take quite a lot of space in front of this door. So this could compromise the path of travel through the hallway. So what if, instead of a chair, we used a stool? For instance, this one is considerably smaller than a chair, and it also has storage, which is like the perfect solution for us. So let's go with something like this. Alright, now since we found a solution for the calyx, we can now fit a cabinet in this space to store all the shoes. By the way, this one has the measurements of an actual cabinet that I found at IKEA. And since a cabinet is taller than a bench, we'll have to move the coat hanger to another spot. So let's hang it right here next to the entry door, so it's nice and convenient. You can even mount another set of hooks below it, so have more space to hang bags, umbrellas, or more jackets, I don't know. Okay, so as you can see, with the cabinet in this spot, the mirror will also have to be moved. So I will place it right here. Finally, this rug is kinda in the middle of both spaces. So I would actually replace it with a runner rug for the hallway. You could also keep it in this space and get a runner, but I think it would add too much segmentation to an already tiny space. So I would choose just one rug for this area. Okay, so with this layout, both sections of the entryway now have function and the space is better utilized overall. Now, let's make it pretty. So I'll start by placing our nice stool here. And I chose the red one because I love red. Next, let's add the rug. I really like solid color rugs and I'm really into the combination of blue and red, so that's why I chose this blue one. But you can choose other color palettes, that's totally up to you. I just thought it would be nice to add a bit of color to the space since it's very white at the moment. And another thing that I think will help inject some life here is greenery. So I'll go ahead and place a plant here. This one is the ZZ plant and it's like very resistant. It goes well in whatever environment, even low light environments like this hallway. So I think it will be fine. Okay, next let's bring the coat hanger here next to the door. Now I actually think that it would look better if we replaced this wall shelf for the picture that's on the other wall. I like the brass frame and I think this will be a better spot for it overall, but it's up to you. So since I moved the picture, we're now left with a spot above the stool. And to me, this is the perfect spot for a wall sconce. I like that we have spotlights on the ceiling as they create much more interesting lighting, but I'm all for adding multiple sources of light to a space. So that's why I'm suggesting wall sconce here. So I will get a wireless wall sconce and put it above the stool. Something black would look great in here. Okay, this already looks great. Now here's the thing. I think we're lacking some contrast on the upper part of this room. So one easy way to balance this lack of contrast is painting the spotlights black. So now we have some interest in the ceiling as well. But there's another way. If you said paint the ceiling, you guessed it. I don't know, I mean my paint the ceiling era. And this mustard yellow is such a great addition to the blue and red already in the room. But again, this is just a suggestion. You could go with another color palette or something more neutral. That's alright. Cool, now let's go to the other room. Let's start by removing everything. Then let's add the cabinet for the shoes. I love this one from IKEA. Such a warm and interesting piece. And it actually fits the space like a glove. Above it, I would hang a picture, maybe add another lamp or other decor objects, whatever makes sense to you. As we moved the mirror to this wall, we can't actually see it from this perspective, but it's here. So it left this empty corner with the pipes and all. So to me, the easiest and most cost-effective way to cover this ugly corner is with curtains. I would get white or beige curtains and hang them using a ceiling track, all of which you could also find at IKEA. And no, this is not sponsored, I truly wish it was. But IKEA just have solutions for everything. Now, in my mind, this will be a good solution because everything that's behind the curtains, it's still easily accessible. And if we choose a flowy and light fabric, it wouldn't trap heat. But make sure to check with a professional if this is a safe option, okay? Alright, lastly, I see there seems to be a ceiling outlet in here. So I would get a pretty light pendant for this room. Maybe something red? And that's it. Here's a quick before and after. I think this tiny space is much better utilized now, and also more alive. What did you think? On to the next room. This is Hudson's main living space. He lives in this apartment with his wife and their dog. Currently, they use one of the bedrooms as a shared home office space, but would prefer having one of the workstations moved to the living room, as it's getting tricky to manage both Zoom call schedules. They like the pieces that are already in the space, but are having a hard time finding room for a desk. So this is basically a layout problem, right? I know this one isn't exactly a weird space, especially when compared to the previous two examples, but I think it represents an interesting challenge that many people might be facing right now with the whole work from home wave, you know? So let's talk about it. Here's what the current layout looks like. And now comes my favorite part. Let's remove everything and start from scratch. Now, I think that if we were able to switch the positions of the living and dining rooms, the space could be better utilized. So first, let's see if the dining table would fit in this space. Yep, all good. And we still have room for the tall bookshelf in here. Great. One of the plants can also stay. Now, how should the living room be laid out? I like to start by finding a spot for the TV. In here, to me, there's really just one wall where it could go, which is this one. If we put it here, that means we would have a path of travel through the living room, which is not ideal. And since the largest wall has a window right in its center, it's just not an option if we want to keep the TV media console. Ideally, you will want to have the living room laid out in the same direction of the widest axis of the room, but for this one, it's just not an option. So let's go ahead and place the TV right here. So the sofa goes here. And I would actually use the rug that's currently under the dining table to define the living room space. And it seems to be large enough for that. Okay, cool. Living room done. Now with this layout, we still have plenty of space behind the sofa. And this is exactly where I would put the desk. There you go. Nice work corner. So the cabinet that was previously on this wall will now go here with the coffee machine and all. And now we still have all this space to be used as an entryway of sorts. It's still pretty close to the door, so the bench will go here along with the other bookshelf. And I think that's it. We were able to fit everything that was already in the space except for one small table. But I guess that's a good enough trade-off for having space for the home office in the living room, right? Perfect. So here's what the room would look like with the new layout. But hey, am I allowed a few extra suggestions? First of all, please, let's deal with this window. It's so small for this wall. You know what would make it look better? You guessed it. Curtains. Nice and wide panels to give the impression that the window is actually bigger. And since this room is looking super neutral, why not add a bit of color? So let's make the curtains red or a muted tone of orange, almost red. I love this. Okay, these bare bulbs on the ceiling are not doing this room any favors. So let's replace those. I would choose a stylish pendant for the TV area and a simple spotlight to illuminate the office space. Alright, by now you should guess what I'm about to say. I'm happy with how this room looks already, but why not give it something extra? This time I would not paint the ceiling, okay? But I will suggest painting this. What do you call this? Is there a name for this specific part of a wall? Anyways, here's how it looks. The yellow and red, so good. I just think it's a small detail that adds so much visual interest and personality to the space. So this is what I would do. Finally, let's look at how the room was before. And here's the after. Same furniture, different layout, with a new dedicated workstation for one of them. Now, isn't that amazing how simply playing with the layout options opens up so many possibilities? You could do the same by using the software that I use to create all the floor plans that you see in this video, Rayon Design, which happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Rayon Design is a new next-generation software for interior architecture and design. The interface is sleek and clutter-free, and you don't need a powerful computer or complicated installation. It runs right in your browser, so you can work from anywhere. It's also super intuitive to use. Just look how easy it is to draw and edit walls, for example. With Rayon Design, I can quickly draw and edit floor plans and layouts, either starting from scratch or using one of their many templates. Then it's just drag and drop. With over 4,000 elevations and top view blocks in their library, it's so easy to test different layouts and make them look amazing. So this is great for both professionals doing more complex work, like feasibility studies or detailed millwork, and for interior design enthusiasts who just want to improve their own homes. And it's not just for working solo. You can share projects and even invite teammates to collaborate in real time on the same canvas. Plus, you can import and export in multiple file formats. So if you want to try it out, go click in the link in the description. It's free. And thank you Rayon Design for sponsoring this video. Alright folks, that's it for today's video. I'm actually super curious to see what did you guys think about all of these transformations, so do leave a comment. Also, let me know if you want more of this. If you liked this one and still haven't watched the previous episode, you can click right here. And here's another room makeover that you also might like. Before you do that though, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to see more content like this. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.